Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Fry from Jefferson again, and we are looking at Author's Craft today. Now, the Author's Craft, if you look at this poster, and you may have this in your notebooks that you have at school, the Author's Craft is the language and technique a writer uses to make his or her own writing interesting, also to communicate ideas to the reader. So you have different techniques. You have an explanation here of what it is, and then you have an example on this little poster. So this is a great thing to keep out while you're thinking about Author's Craft. So we're going to go across this chart and look at each one. For voice, that would be one of the techniques of an author. The author's writing style that makes his or her writing unique is called the voice. An example of this is a writer uses certain words to show his or her style. An author's voice may change depending on the genre of the text. So today, with one of our activities we're going to be doing, you're going to be looking at the author's craft. So when you're reading the text, you're going to say, what would the voice of the author be? What are they wanting me to understand by the way they wrote this activity or this text? The next thing we look at for technique is mood. The emotions or feelings of the reader while reading a text. Mystery would be suspense or surprise would be the mood. A fantasy would have the mood of wonder or excitement. And an article would have the mood of seriousness or thoughtfulness. Anecdote. That is a short, funny, or interesting story related to a character or events. While on a school field trip, a teacher tells her students about a field trip she once took with her classmates would be an example there. Language. This is the vocabulary, the precise nouns, the sensory words, which are words that deal with your senses, and vivid verbs that make the text more interesting. Selma ate popcorn is just kind of a plain way to say it. Now let's look at adding in some interesting details to make it a little more filled in and a little more descriptive. That would be our language. Each kernel of the buttery popcorn crunched loudly in Selma's mouth. Now, if you're reading a story, the second one would definitely be more interesting because it's filled with all types of language to increase the understanding and to make the sentence better. Then the last thing we have is a hyperbole. Hyperboles are exaggerations that make things sound bigger and better or more than what they actually and truly are. So let's look at the first example here. It says, that's a good idea. Now that's a plain sentence. Let's look at how it goes better. When they add a hyperbole to it, in my life is the part that makes it a hyperbole. That's the best idea I have ever heard in my life. Now that's an extreme exaggeration because chances are it's not really the best idea they've heard their whole entire life, but it kind of makes it big and extreme, which is what you're trying to get at. So you're going to notice that certain authors use different types of techniques, and some of them will appeal to you more because of their techniques they use. So that's called the author's craft. Now, this is not the first time we've looked at author's craft this year, but it's just a good reminder. So we're going to move over now, and we're going to look at actually one of our stories this week. And the story we're going to look at right now is called, these are our poems this week. This one's called The Great Barrier Reef. Now, on the Great Barrier Reef, what I want you to think about as you're reading the Great Barrier Reef is I want you to think about what words tell us how the poet feels about the Great Barrier Reef. That would be the author's craft. What words did they choose? The language. You're going to cite evidence from the poem to show how his voice comes through. So the author's voice. Now, I'm going to read this little part here to you as we're going through. The Great Barrier Reef. In the Coral Sea off the coast of Queensland, Australia. So listen for author's craft. It's 1,600 miles long along the Queensland coast. The barrier reef, whose name is Great, and that's no idle boast. It's 1,600 miles long and every inch alive. Perhaps you'd like to have a look. You do not need to dive or even get your swimsuit wet to see this awesome place. A reef so huge is visible. The reef so huge it's visible by astronauts in space. To think you can be orbiting the Earth while looking at a teeming turtle, dolphin, whale, and porpoise habitat, your eyes will tell the story, and you will not doubt its moral. There's hardly anything on Earth more beautiful than coral. This poem and this author, if you're thinking about his author's craft, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of help you think through this first one, because you're going to be looking at each of these poems and kind of trying to decide, what is the author's craft? What are they using to let me know how they feel about their story? In this one, the author of this poem feels a sense of awe about the Great Barrier Reef. He uses words such as great. He also uses the word awesome right here in stanza 4. Then he goes on to use the word beautiful down here in stanza 6. So when you're using those powerful words, you're giving this story lots of excitement in the sense that you think it is a great place. So this author believes that the Great Barrier Reef is an awesome place to visit. He thinks it's amazing. That is part of his author's craft in helping you understand it. Then if you look over at the next couple of poems over, this poem, if you're looking at the author's craft here, this is the poem on Mount Everest. How does the poet use imagery to tell you about the experience of climbing Mount Everest? All right. So on this one, I'm going to read this poem with you also. You pull that up where you can see it all. Eyes travel up to the skies, following the path of the mountain's rise. The wind's wrath whips through our tents as my heart skips and trips. We hush our fears through the night. Rushing gusts of wind and snow frighten us in the jest as we wait for the warming sight, the morning light, and continue this quest to a point higher than the rest, a height that will be conquered by only the best. The strength of muscle will be put to the test to climb to the top of Mount Everest. Now, I love the fact that this poem is written in the shape of a mountain. I think that is an awesome way to do this poem, and it just kind of makes it exciting to me. Everyone has different opinions, so you may or may not like that the author chose to put this in a shape poem. But the question was, how does this poet use imagery to tell you about the experience of climbing Mount Everest? The poet uses imagery to tell how the mountain climbers felt and what they thought as they climbed up the Mount Everest. So when you're writing a story and you tell how you feel and you give us some great description there connecting to human feelings, that gives us an image and to put in our mind. It helps us to understand. What I want you to do is, as you're reading through some of the other poems, or as you're beginning to write poems, look for ways that poems express feelings and thoughts. There might be some other things that are listed here in this poem that will help you to get ideas of how it feels and how the author feels along the way. There are some words like fear, frighten. So take a chance and look through and see what you can find. Thank you for joining today for the video.